One of the things that makes people not quit is fear. Like, if you don't believe that there's something better, then most times it will not
I
come.
was unhappy. I go to bed, sometimes crying.
You imagine now, you just know that this your friend in next week, she's going to betray you and say you off.
It is time for you to zap.
Welcome to Life as We See It podcast. Thank you for joining us today. So today we have a wonderful topic. We're going to be talking about knowing when to quit and when to stay. So we're going to look at the signs of when to quit.
Yes.
So the first one that comes to mind is like when you don't feel fulfilled.
Yes.
So talking about like a job, like whether a job is a right fit for you. You might be doing something that you think you would like, and then when you start doing it, you start
You're
to
like,
discover,
no,
oh no, I don't really like this thing.
Yes.
I don't really like this job. I don't really
Yeah.
like this environment.
Yes.
I don't really like what is happening with this job. So you might feel unfulfilled, like you're not really. This is not you. You're not playing according to your strengths, right?
There have been times when I have been in certain situations where I know, oh, it's time to actually move because I didn't feel, for instance, let me give this example. When I worked many years ago, I worked in the financial sector in the bank. I was an engineer. I graduated with an engineering degree, but in Nigeria then, like banks were the top recruiting,
Yeah,
companies
everybody
because
works in
they're looking for if you pass the the exams, they recruit you. So I was in that space, and initially I enjoyed the first couple of years, but after a while I was like, you know what, I'm tired. I was so unfulfilled. I was unhappy. I go to bed, sometimes crying because I started getting that nudge maybe like 2 years prior.
Yeah.
But I just kept on saying, oh, let me just keep,
Maybe to change.
maybe to change, let me just keep
Yeah.
going. And then many other things now happened. I was like, if I'd known, I would have quit early and just been on my merry, gone along. But yeah, so it's important to know when you start feeling that fulfillment, it might be time to
Yeah.
go, to quit.
To quit. And I think also like one of the things that makes people not quit is fear. Like the fear that a bird in hand is what
Is what-
two in bush. I always hear
Yeah,
that
that's true.
proverb. It's true, but not in all cases.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes you might have to throw the bed away to get another bed.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that it's not always true in all cases, right? So
sure.
you have to look at the situation you are in, or whatever is making you unhappy, making you unfulfilled. If something is not using your strengths, like I feel like you would always struggle, because I also had that too in Nigeria when I was working in an accounting firm. Like it was either bank or accounting when you came out from
yeah,
school.
yeah.
So I was working at an accounting firm and it was okay. I liked it, but it was a struggle for me too, because I did not read accounting in
Yes,
university, right?
yeah.
It was a struggle to start learning accounting and financial terms. I was like, what's all this debit and credit?
Yes.
What's all this? I was like, it's not, this thing is not, my brain is not accounting. So I did it for like 6 months. Yeah.
I think you said something that is really critical. I think fear, like people,
Yes.
like it's just so scary to go out and take that risk. To say, I need to do something else. But honestly, like you can't live your life in a place where you're unfulfilled, and like there's much more,
There's
right?
much more.
Yeah, there's much more.
And I think you have to like believe that there is, because if you don't believe, if you feel like this one is the only one I can
Yes.
ever have, or
Yes.
this, let me just hold this one tight. Like
Yeah.
if you don't believe that there's something better, then most times it will not come.
Okay. So number 2 sign that it's time for you to probably quit is negative impacts and toxicity.
No one.
So if you're in a place where there's just so much bad energy, bad vibes, like toxicity, like no peace of mind, no rest, it is time for you to zap
Zap the door.
for your mental health, for your own good, for your peace of mind. Honestly, nothing is worth, sacrificing your peace of mind for. Nothing. And I think when it comes to relationship, especially where this relationship or friendships, where it has to do with human beings, because we human beings are very complex, right? So we all have our weaknesses, our strengths, our, koro things that negatively impact others, and they also
Yeah.
negatively impact us. So if it's not working anymore, time to zap.
Peace is very, very important. So if somewhere somebody is causing a toxic situation for you constantly,
Yeah.
battering,
Yeah.
your mental health is suffering, then I think it's reasonable to either you can either leave or take a step back, like give it time. Like, you understand, you don't have to be there
You have to engage
to
and
engage
yeah. Like, and you know, this thing is when you are in the moment, when it's happening, you don't know it's chipping away at you, right? Because it's just a repetition, like a cyclic thing. Like it just keeps happening, happening, happening. And you just keep making room for it. You know, as human beings, like your brain is trying to protect you. It just, okay, let's just shift. Let's just adjust. Let's, okay, this is how this person is. It is okay. When they make fun of you or like they abusive, you're like, okay, okay, let me give them the benefit of the doubt, and you keep doing that, and over the years that friendship or relationship continues. After a while, man, like it has so compounded that you've lost where your origin, your baseline, your original baseline was, you know, and it's not good for you. When it comes to marriage, it's more complicated. I'm not telling people to leave their marriages, but if you need to get help, like, you know, because sometimes people exhibit toxic traits that they're not even aware of, right? Because it's just their own way of coping, protecting their own selves, but they hurt other people. So just going for counseling, you know, helping them fix whatever the situation is. But if it's a situation whereby it's friendship, it's time for you to go. Don't manage toxicity, honestly.
And then be honest, like be honest with yourself is also important. Like look at the situation, like you said, because me, I'm somebody that used to give excuse a lot for people. Like I can like say, oh, this person's having a bad day, this is that. Do you understand? But it's also important that you be honest with yourself and say, this is what it is this a pattern that is occurring with this situation? And then if it is a pattern, then I think you should do something about it. The third sign of will be no growth.
No growth. Yeah.
No growth. So like if you're, for example, in a situation or in a job and you're not growing, for example, like I talked about playing to your strengths, you don't feel like this job is utilizing the thing, my strength. I don't have any passion for it. I think it's time to go. Like the essence of life is that life will be in stages, and life is to grow you, right? Even little children from 2 years they get to adulthood.
Yeah.
The aim of life is that you're growing up, like you should be maturing, like you should be getting better,
be
becoming a
growing.
better version of
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
So if career or professionally or any part of your life you're not seeing growth, then it's time to assess the situation and say, why am I not growing? Is it the situation? Is it the environment?
Yeah.
Is it the environment that is making me not grow? Is it me? Then is there something I need to do to fix it? But if it has to do with the environment, if it has to do with the circumstance, then fix it. Talk about how you can change that for the better. So,
I like that. Okay, good. So growing is very important. Having a
Yeah.
growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. That's something new I learned. Growth mindset.
not
Doing
to
things
fix
that,
it.
yeah,
You're
that
a
challenges
living being
you.
now. Somebody
So
say
you
you're a
should be
human
growing.
being, right?
Yes, yes.
You're not a human being. You're a human being.
being.
being. So
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
continually
Present
being.
continuous.
Present
You're being.
continuous
I like
being.
that. Wow,
So,
that's good.
English
I like
school.
them. Yeah. Okay, so number 4 sign, you know, for you to know that it's time to quit is when God says it is time. We are Christians, so we're speaking from that spiritual angle. If you pray, because everything we've mentioned now, unfulfillment, negative or toxicity, not
growth,
growing.
yeah.
I mean, if all of those things are happening in the situation where you're in, but you pray and God says stay, I think you should listen to God's, you know, direction, because he sees all things. Sometimes you might feel stuck in a place, but God is trying to build resilience, build patience, build some inner work in you. I mean, you talk about maybe like David, for instance, after he was anointed king, he didn't become king. He didn't overthrow Saul. He was still a shepherd. He was still doing like other menial things, right? But I'm sure he felt, but I mean, Samuel already anointed me. What am I still doing here? You know, but it was a season of training for him. So it's important as Christians, let's pray and know what God is saying. If he says stay in that job, stay in that friendship, in that relationship, please just stay. Listen to God. Yeah.
That's a good one because like we don't expect things to just come soon. Also like Joseph too, he was in the pit,
Yeah.
and even though God had given him a dream that this will happen, he still went through the pit. He had to go through the process. So and with that too, God was still saying stay. So there are sometimes that things will happen and God will allow it, even though it doesn't look to your five senses that this thing makes
Makes
sense
sense.
to stay in. So now, when do we stay? When do
Yeah.
we stay
Looking
in
at the flip side
the
of it,
flip
when is
side
it
of
okay to
it?
stay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one, even if you don't have any, like, if there's no reason to stay, if you have passion for what you are doing, is very, very important. Are you passionate about what you do? Are you passionate about that situation, about that friendship, right? Then you can remain committed to it, right? Is it something you enjoy doing? Is there something
Yes.
you enjoy doing, but even though it's not maybe financially lucrative, can you still do it as a side hustle thing,
Awesome.
right? For example, I worked in an NGO in Nigeria, and that was one of my most fulfilling jobs, honestly, to be
And you assume you weren't getting
honest.
paid? It was like,
No, I was getting paid, but
okay,
not
but not
like,
as
like
much.
commensurate with like other places. So I used to work in this NGO, and it was into like education. We used to do like we used to provide libraries in like schools and then remote areas.
Okay.
So I loved that because I could get to see kids. I worked a lot with kids and I could read with kids, and I really, really liked that. So I could work with the kids, get to read with the kids, and I could also like plan projects. So I felt like those things like play to my strength of like working, like being organized, and yeah, so it was a fulfilling job for me, even though it wasn't paying me like my accounting
Okay,
job,
accounting.
right?
That's true. Even like what we're doing now, like this podcast we're doing, right now we're still at the very early stage. And, sometimes, we record, we do all this hard work, we
Yeah.
edit, we put the video out there, and you don't see as much views as you maybe anticipate or hope to see. But, sometimes it can be a bit discouraging. But for me and Amaka, we talk about this often. It's just, we love it, right? We're just, for us, like, I'm a core introvert, like, and Amaka, I think you also said the same. So doing this is actually coming out of my core. It's just something I had to challenge myself. I was like, man, I have to, because it's something I was like, oh, let's try this. It's a hobby, right? But so far it's
been good.
we just love it. Like, it's just something we're passionate, we're interested in. So we're just pushing it. We know growth, it takes a while to grow, but we're just sticking there because we know it's something we're passionate about. So,
Yeah.
so number 2 sign you should probably stay is if the challenge you're facing is probably just a short-term challenge. Everything in life, there are challenges here and there. For instance, maybe a job. There are times in my career when I've had to work extra hard because maybe we are short-staffed, fewer people, but because it's something I love and I know it's just short-term, right? If we're able to hire more people, it'll reduce the load and we keep going, right? So at those times I don't quit, even though it gets tough. I'm like, okay, it's a short-term thing, right? Or even in relationship where maybe there's a hard time, maybe financial crunch or something, you don't just quit because, oh, there's a challenge. It could just be, oh, this is just for the moment. It will pass, right? So some people quit too early. That's another thing. Maybe you start a business or a job and you're like, man, I'm not getting, customers, business is hard, and it might just be at the brink. I was actually watching something, a video where 2 people, right, they were using this manual water. You know how in the villages then they have this manual pump, where they pump water, right? So one woman she was pumping from a shallow well, right? So it was easy for her to get to the water source. So her water came out quickly from the tap. But the other person he was pushing from a deeper source. But that source had much more water because the people who did geography, because it was deep, deep down in the soil. So he had to do extra work. So when the water was about to come out, right, he would have had an endless source of supply. He quit. Right, so he quit so early before he saw the manifestation. So let's not quit too soon.
Yes, I like that. What comes to my mind especially is like business. So where they always talk like if you're starting a business, there's always going to be like delayed gratification where you would have to delay your gratification. What
Yeah.
that means is that like I do have like a side business, a little bit of side business that I do on the side, like with like skincare. Now, one of the things I realized that even with the
That's why her
small
skin is always so
ah
glowing.
no it is well ambassador of my
Plug. You should
skincare
plug.
products.
Yeah.
Yes,
Plug your skincare business.
yes. Okay. So one thing I noticed is that as you're starting up businesses like that, and I'll get like so when I sell products and I get profits, right? So I will make profits. Now, so I have to ask one of the things I learned from the person that brought me to the business, I would say like my mentor, was that you don't eat all your profits, right? So I carry the profits. It's delayed. At first I'm like excited that oh I've made this money.
Yeah.
But I have to carry that money, right? That I've made, the profit, and put it back into
the business.
Especially when you're starting anything new. Business, education,
Yeah.
finding a new job. You always there's always that transition with like with change.
Growing
So,
pains. Yeah.
growing pains.
So what's the next sign?
And then the next one will be adaptability. Are you able to
Adapt to new
adapt
situations.
to that situation?
Yeah.
Are you able to learn from the situation? Are you able to change a little things? You might have to adjust a little. So if you're able to adapt, you've tried and you're able to adapt, even though there are challenges with it, I think it's a good sign to
Sign
stay.
to stay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Sometimes you have to adapt. Especially for us that even immigrants that came from far places, if you're not able to adapt, then
yes.
it's a problem.
Well, even the smallest thing, like the greatest maladaptation, the greatest adaptation is weather.
Yes,
My
weather.
is like the
God.
greatest adaptation
Yes,
right now.
yes.
Just having like Nigeria is just
Only
just
summer, sun all year round. Here we're
But
like
now
in
we
the
have to
in fall.
talk
It's so
about
cold.
snow. We have to talk about
Snow,
rain. We have to
rain,
talk about
the
very
cold.
short summers.
Sure, yeah.
It's a blessing, but it's just talking about the adaptation that we have to do as immigrants too as
Wow,
well.
like we adapt a lot.
We
Like
do adapt.
I remember my early years here in the US. It was like, man, there's so many things, culture shock, just learning, like man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. So number 4, another sign is like we mentioned before, when God says stay. We're bringing in God again because we're Christians and we believe, His word is final stay. So when God says stay, we should, stay regardless of, whatever the situation, contrary situation might be showing. So yeah,
Yeah,
very
because there's
important.
some situations I'm looking at. I look at the Bible, I'm like, why did they stay there?
Yeah,
Do you
why did they
understand?
stay?
It's like,
Why did God make them stay? Why? Man. But yeah,
do you understand?
God knows.
Okay, a perfect example in the Bible that I was just thinking about when I was looking at this topic was Jesus knew that Judas would betray him.
Oh, that's true.
Like you imagine now, you just know that this your friend in next week. She's going to betray you and send you off to be for 30
Oh my
whatever.
God.
That he even kissed. He knew.
Yeah.
He said that one of you here. He
Will
told
betray
them
me.
in the table that one of you here will betray me.
Guess what? Even the Judas was the treasurer, right? The Bible said he
Yes.
kept the purse for the poor. So, like you said, Jesus knew, but still made him the treasurer. Like, hey,
Maybe
God,
the treasurer,
oh.
and he knew he still dined with him. till
Still
the
dined
end.
with him till the
Allowed him to even
I love
kiss
Jesus.
him because he was looking at the purpose.
The purpose,
Bible
yeah.
says that he did not despise the cross. He looked at the purpose.
Yeah.
He did not let the shame get to him,
to him,
right?
yeah.
So he knew what
I love
the
you,
goal
Jesus.
was,
Like,
what the
you're just-
purpose
I don't
was.
know.
When I just thought about it. I was
now
like,
that you said it, I was like,
it's
wait,
so perfect.
let's bring this thing real. A friend will betray you next.
now. Not even a
Hey,
friend. This one is disciple. Your
inner circle.
Your inner
Hey,
circle.
Mba, like,
It's
like cut off,
please, I
quit,
just
like
block
go,
I
like
just block your number.
block you everywhere. Like,
No more.
What?
No more. Hey, oh, you Judas. No, I cannot allow myself to be betrayed once.
Eh?
But Jesus went to betray her for our sake. So there are situations like that. Our 5 senses is telling us, oh, contrary. We have to be careful. We're not saying, okay, this is what I want you to do. This is part of the process.
Yes.
Go through it.
Go through
right?
it. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Interesting. Okay, I like that. Okay, so now let's also talk about finding a balance. We've talked
Yes.
about, so sometimes we also need tips and help to make the right decision. Just you know, you've seen the signs, you know what to do. But again, probably you need something else, right, to help you make the right decision. Amaka, you mentioned this earlier. You said self-reflection. You should reflect, like just sit with yourself. And if you have to have a book where you write, you know, pros and cons, you know, why or why
Oh,
not,
yeah, I
it
did that
helps
too
you.
notes.
Yeah, I know you mentioned having a gratitude journal. Just you journal. Do you
Yes.
journal?
Yes, I
Oh, you
do. I do
do? Okay.
journal.
Yeah, I
I
think journal.
journal a lot.
I've always wanted to journal. I start and I just stop. I don't know, but
I
I
not
think it's really
everything.
good.
I'm getting better at it, but
Yeah.
I try to write down whatever I
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important. Just personal, you know, reflect. We're coming to the end of the year. Like just time to make, you know, just reflect and say, oh, what has worked for me? What hasn't worked? Honestly, there's no need. There's no award for suffering or for carrying, lugging things along that don't serve you. You know, like there's no award. I'm guilty of this. That's what I'm saying. So if you need to make a move this year and begin to reflect, what move do I need to make going into the next year? Don't wait anymore. Don't spend time, especially if you know you've gone through all of these signs, you've spoken, and God says it's time. Just move. You might be afraid, you might be scared, but just go, move.
Go for it,
Yeah,
right? Go
yeah.
for it. We are children of God. We have faith.
Yes, yes.
We
Even
have
in
faith.
job, I keep talking about this job. That's why, like, I stay in some
Yeah.
jobs for too long. Like, just move, move. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Then second one will be seek advice. That one is very good. It's always good to run things by someone with someone you trust. Like, okay, look at the situation. What do you think about it? So talk to other people that have gone ahead of you. Are you quitting too soon, or are you staying too long in a situation that is not really serving you? So I think also sharing with somebody that you trust is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then finally, set goals. Set goals for yourself. Tell yourself, I want to do this by this time. I want to, you know, man proposes, God disposes. You might set goals and you might not achieve them, but at least you've set goals. Setting goal like helps you even want to go. If you don't have set goals, you just
I was reading a book. They said set goals that I think the book said set like 5,000 goals. I say, how many goals with somebody, one person you have? The book was like, oh, set many goals, and if you set a lot of goals, you will achieve more than somebody that set 10. Because if you set, let's say, 100 goals, right? With what you set, you might want to achieve 80 goals. You might achieve at the end of the year or wherever you are measuring your timeline, 80 goals. Why somebody that set 10 might not be able to achieve 10 because maybe they didn't push themselves too much. They might just achieve 5. So in the long run, even though you did not get to your 100 goals or your 5,000 goals, you have achieved more than somebody that set fewer goals. And yeah.
But wouldn't that exhaust you? For someone like me, who I would just want to achieve all the goals I set, like just seeing that, man, so many, I would just be even tired. Like it would just discourage me from even trying.
Yeah.
But I guess people
Then
are
you will
different.
then you will pace yourself. You won't pressure yourself with the goals. So you're writing these goals as something that you would like to achieve, but you're not putting pressure if you don't achieve them, right?
Okay.
Make your goals robust. People can do goal
Yeah.
setting later.
Goal
Make it
setting.
robust.
Make it
Like
robust.
imagine,
Have vision board.
yeah, have vision board.
Dream big.
Dream big. Like
Yeah,
be
that's true.
creative. Like with your own. It's your own goal now. Should be you can dream anything. It's you. It's your own.
This was good, insightful. I learned a lot.
Yeah, no, it's like something that I even constantly had to be thinking and saying,
Yeah.
oh, when do
Yeah.
you quit? When do you
I
let go?
know,
When do
I
you hold
know,
on?
I
It's
know.
constantly a balancing
Balance,
battle.
yeah.
So
No, one thing I
keep
learned
going.
is just that quitting is not always bad.
It's not always
It's
bad.
not always
No.
bad. People think, oh, yeah, we're quitting. It's not always. Sometimes you quit, but yeah, that's
Even
good.
Jesus quit sometimes.
Sometimes you
He
just say bye bye.
hesitates.
It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so we're gonna play our game as usual, like we play it at the end of every episode. Our
Yes.
riddle. So I have a riddle for Amaka. Let's see if she gets it. Okay, so the question is, what kind of band never plays music? What kind of band? When I say band, BAND, what kind of band never plays music?
Band-Aid.
Oh, that was a good one. That was good. That was good.
Never
No, that's
play-
not my answer. Okay, that's not the answer I have here. Okay.
What kind of
That's
band?
actually a good one. Okay. Do you have any other
Wedding
guess?
ring.
Wedding band.
Wedding band. What's the answer?
So the answer I have here is rubber band.
Yay! Ah, can I forget
Rubber band. Yeah, but band aid also goes, right? Because it has band in its name. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Rubber
a good
band.
one.
Yeah.
Never plays any music.
Never plays any music,
But
but
you can draw it now.
yes.
It's too sharp.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
It was a good one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. We appreciate you.
We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good weekend or week whenever you watch this. And we'll see you in our next episode. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.